Uh-oh.
Can you tell the donut story?
No. I love you dearly, but you know what, you guys? I want to take these opportunities with you to tell you new things.
Thank you.
And I love sharing those things, but they start to sound so, you know what somebody wrote one time? It made me so mad. Somebody wrote on the internet, God, doesn't he have any new stories? He always says the same thing. I'm like, dude, they asked me the same thing.
Tell him, Vic.
I mean, I'm just answering the questions, but I really would love to share with you, a lot of different things. So, check out YouTube. Yes, sir.
Do you have a favorite episode of Star Trek?
Oh my gosh, yes. Amok Time was great. You can what was the episode where such and such, and I'll tell you the title. I mean, I love this series. You know what my favorite one was? This is such a, what's the word? Obscure. Such an obscure episode. There was an episode called Requiem for Methuselah.
Oh my God!
In this story, there was an epidemic on the Enterprise, and they needed a particular element called Ritalin to make an antidote. And so they go to this planet where there's a lot of Ritalin, and they meet this guy named Flint. And at first he's really kind of, get off my planet, I don't want you here. And then all of a sudden he changes his tune. He's like, hey, come to my house, I'll help you gather the Ritalin, I'll help you process it. And they're like, what's up with this guy? They get to his house, and his house is like a museum. And there are like original Brahms compositions on the piano, like written in Brahms' hand. There's a Gutenberg Bible. There's a play by William Shakespeare that's like written in manuscript. And Spock is like really excited, right? Because he's like, this stuff is real analytical. This is the real thing. Where did he get this stuff? He must be loaded. This guy must be so rich. Then they meet this girl who comes out of nowhere. And of course, Captain Kirk's like, I'm Captain James Kirk. And so he starts getting things going with this girl named Raina, right? Raina's like real reserved, but she's real intelligent. She's very articulate. Kirk falls in love with her. And of course, Kirk falls in bed with her. I mean, in love with her. So at the end of so suddenly at the end, Spock's thinking something's not right here. And then they find out the horrible truth. Flint was all of those characters in history. He was born immortal, and he would live a particular lifetime, and then he would pretend to die, and then he would surface somewhere else and begin again. And he was Brahms and Shakespeare. He was those characters throughout history. And he created an android woman to be his partner, because no female human woman could ever live forever. Like, he wanted someone as timeless as he was. But the android had no feelings, no emotions, and he didn't know how to get her emotions jump-started. So he thought that by bringing these human beings in, like Shatner, like Kirk, that he could kind of light a fire underneath her emotions, and then she would turn to Flint and be his wife or whatever. Well, it didn't work like that. She fell in love with Kirk, and she loved Flint. She loved Flint like a father, but she loved Kirk like a boyfriend, and she basically died because she couldn't reconcile this torn love that she had. I'm telling you guys, I'll tear up. I love this episode. The very end, can I share just a little bit more with you? At the very end of the episode, I love this scene. At the very end, toward the end of the episode, he and Flint start fighting. And Flint's like throwing him around the room. He's immortal. And Kirk's like, and Spock's like, Captain, I think you should stop this. And Kirk's like, stay out of this. We're fighting over a woman. And Spock's like, no, you're not. For she is not. And he gets up and they're fighting. And the woman's like, and Raina's like, stop! I will not be the cause of this. I cannot be the cause of this. I will choose where I want to go and what I want to do. And of course, they're all excited because it's like her emotions are coming to life. And then she she doesn't want to hurt Flint, she doesn't want to hurt Kirk, and she collapses under the weight of the emotions and the turmoil. So in the last scene, Kirk's in his quarters, and he's just sitting there as despondent as he's ever been in an episode. And Dr. McCoy comes in, and McCoy says, I've done the readings on Flint, and he is in fact dying now because he left Earth, where he was formed. He'll live a normal life, but then he'll die. And Kirk says, a very old and lonely man, and a young and lonely man. We put on a pretty poor show, didn't we? If only I could forget. He was so embarrassed by the way he behaved. He puts his head down and he falls asleep. And Spock walks in, and McCoy gives him kind of the whole, be quiet, he's sleeping. And McCoy walks up to Spock and he says, Spock, I feel sorrier for you than I do for him. Because you'll never know the things love will drive a man to.
Burn.
And he says the desperate chances, the glorious failures, the glorious victories, all these things you'll never know just because the word love isn't written into your book. And then he turns around and looks at Kirk and says, I do wish you could forget her. And he walks out of the room, and Spock stands there for a minute and looks at Kirk and walks up to Kirk sleeping and puts his hand on his head and says, forget. Oh! I love that joke! The new Star Treks just don't do that. They just, there's something lost. There's just, you can't, yeah, they were the best. Those ones. Okay, I'm sorry. Wow, we spent a long time on that, didn't we?
It was good. It was good though.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, Orochimaru, as you know, he's kind of androgynous. And of course you want that serpent-like, slithery quality to come through, right? So I think my take on him was, he's very much like what Steve does, really. I mean, Steve nailed him. In fact, we were talking one day and I said, so Steve, what does your Orochimaru voice sound like? And he looked at me and he kind of smiled and he said, pretty much just like yours did. Let's see, Orochimaru, let's see.
I see you already possess the scroll of the heavens. I suppose you'd like to possess my earth scroll as well. Well, go ahead. Take it from me. I dare you.
Well, there's a character that I'm playing now in a show called Tokyo Majin. And it's a chance to kind of do my Orochimaru voice, so I was excited to use it a little bit. Yes, in the pink. You sure can, sweetie. Thank you. You are a wicked girl.
Oh, you got it finally.
Well, I'm kind of preoccupied right now. What do you have? Oh, thank you for being here. I love it. Yummy, yummy.
Oh yeah.
In my tummy.
She's Pocky at it.
Everybody has.